Everything I was taught about making money was backwards. Every single thing. Work harder, chase every opportunity, hustle for every dollar, all of it. And the day I stopped doing all of it was the day money started flowing into my life like water through a broken dam. I'm Harold Ashford. I retired at 65 with $11,000 to my name. By 68, I was broke again. By 70, I had crossed the $1 million mark. And it all changed the moment I learned to sit still. Picture this, September 2018. I'm 68 years old, sitting in my 2004 Honda Civic in the parking lot of a strip mall in Akron, Ohio. Engine's running because the air conditioning doesn't work when it's off. I've got a yellow legal pad on my steering wheel with 17 different opportunities written down. 17 ways I'm trying to make money. MLM schemes, day trading, flipping furniture from garage sales, selling life insurance to other retirees, driving for Uber with a car that sounds like a lawnmower. I'm exhausted. I'm sweating through my shirt, and my checking account has $247 in it. 3 years earlier, I thought I had it figured out. Retirement with 11 grand wasn't much, but I had a plan. I was going to work my way back up, chase every dollar, say yes to everything. I'd read every book about making money after 60. I subscribed to 3 investment newsletters. I had a spreadsheet with 42 different income streams I was going to pursue. I was going to outwork every 30-year-old out there. But here's what nobody tells you about chasing money. It runs faster than you do, especially when you're 68 and sitting in a broken-down Honda in a strip mall parking lot, questioning every decision you've made since your wife died. I remember calling my son Michael that night. He lives in Portland, works for some tech company. "Dad," he said, "maybe you should just slow down. Apply for a job at Home Depot or something. Stop trying to get rich quick." Get rich quick. That's what he called it. Like I was some kind of gambler instead of a man trying to survive. Before I share what happened next, I want you to do something. Write in the comments right now, "I build my wealth starting today." Not tomorrow, not next month, today. Because what I'm about to tell you only works for people who decide first. So there I was, chasing 17 different opportunities. Let me tell you about a few of them, just so you understand how desperate I'd become. First was the MLM thing. Some company called Golden Years Nutrition that sold supplements to seniors. My upline was this guy named Rick who drove a BMW and wore gold chains. He kept telling me I just needed to believe in the product and share my story. I spent $800 I didn't have on starter inventory. Tried to sell vitamin bottles to people at the senior center. Made exactly $0. Still had 47 bottles of something called Joint Joy in my closet when I finally gave up. Then there was day trading. I opened a Robinhood account with $500, watched YouTube videos about technical analysis and chart patterns. Lost $300 in 2 weeks trying to trade penny stocks. The worst part? I was spending 6 hours a day staring at red and green lines on my phone, refreshing my account balance every 5 minutes like a slot machine addict. I tried flipping furniture. Bought a beaten-up dining room table at a yard sale for $30, spent 3 weekends refinishing it in my garage, posted it on Facebook Marketplace for $150, sold it for $80 after 2 months of dealing with tire kickers and no-shows. When I calculated my time, I'd made about $3.50 an hour. The Uber thing was the worst. My Honda barely passed inspection. I drove for 6 weeks, mostly taking drunk college kids home from bars. Made $400 gross, spent $200 on gas, and had someone throw up in my back seat twice. After cleaning fees and car washes, I netted about $40 for 6 weeks of work. But I kept chasing, because that's what you do when you're broke and scared and everyone's telling you to stay active and find your purpose. I was so busy chasing money that I couldn't see what was right in front of me. October 15th, 2018. I remember the date because it was the day everything changed. I was at the VA hospital for my annual checkup. Sitting in the waiting room, exhausted from another week of chasing opportunities that went nowhere. This old guy next to me, maybe 75, is reading a book. Not a magazine, not his phone. An actual book with worn pages and pencil marks in the margins. Good book? I asked, just making conversation. He looked up, smiled. Best book I never wanted to read, he said. It's about a farmer who spent his whole life searching for diamonds in other people's fields. Turns out his own land was sitting on the biggest diamond mine in the world. He just never stopped digging holes long enough to look down. That hit me like a freight train. Here I was, driving all over Akron, chasing 17 different schemes, and I hadn't spent 5 minutes thinking about what I already had. The guy's name was Frank Delacourt, retired Navy. He'd been broke at 70, millionaire by 75. Harold, he said, you want to know the secret? Stop chasing. Start attracting. What's the difference, I asked. Chasing is desperate. Attracting is confident. Money flows to confidence like water flows downhill. But you can't be confident while you're running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Most people click away when someone tells them they're wrong about money. You didn't. Hit subscribe. Frank told me something that day that changed everything. He said there's a principle most people never learn. It's called the wealth timing law. It says money only flows when you stop chasing it. Sounds crazy, right? But when I tried what it suggested instead of all my 17 schemes, everything changed in 90 days. It's all in the description. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because first I had to learn to sit still. And for a man who'd been running around like a maniac for 3 years, sitting still felt like giving up. I went home that day and did something I hadn't done since my wife Martha passed. I sat on my front porch. No phone, no legal pad, no schemes. Just sat there watching the neighborhood. Mrs. Patterson across the street was working in her garden. The Johnsons were washing their car. Normal people doing normal things. And that's when I noticed something I'd been too busy chasing to see. My neighbor Carl was always working on something in his garage. Every day, same time, 2 to 5 p.m. I'd lived next to this guy for 8 years and never really paid attention. But now I was sitting still long enough to watch. So I walked over. Carl, what you working on in there every day? He laughed. Harold, you never asked before. I restore old radios. Buy them broken, fix them up, sell them on eBay. Made about 40 grand last year doing it. $40,000. Carl was making $40,000 a year in his garage, and I'd been driving all over town chasing MLM schemes and penny stocks. How long you been doing this? I asked. About 10 years. Started when I retired. Always loved electronics. Turns out there's a whole market for restored vintage radios. I don't chase customers, they find me. There it was again. He wasn't chasing, they were finding it. I spent the next week just sitting, watching, thinking. What did I actually know how to do? What came naturally to me? What had I been good at before I got so desperate that I forgot who I was? The answer surprised me. I was good with people. I'd spent 35 years in sales before I retired. Not chasing people, not pestering them, just helping them solve problems. I'd forgotten that skill because I'd been so busy trying to learn new ones. That's when I remembered something from my old sales days. The best deals always came when I stopped pushing, when I listened more than I talked, when I let customers come to their own conclusions instead of trying to convince them of mine. So I applied that to my money situation. Instead of chasing 17 opportunities, what if I just got really good at one thing? What if I stopped running around and started building something that would attract money instead of chasing it? I thought about what problems I could solve for people. Real problems, not manufactured ones like joint joy vitamins. And it hit me: estate sales. Every day in the obituaries, there were families who needed to clear out houses. They didn't want to deal with it themselves, but they didn't know how to hire someone trustworthy. I'd been to enough garage sales and estate sales to know what was valuable and what wasn't. I knew how to talk to grieving families with respect. I knew how to organize, price, and present items attractively. And I knew how to be honest about what things were worth. So instead of chasing, I started building. I created a simple business, Ashford Estate Services. I didn't advertise, I didn't chase customers, I just did one job really well and word spread. My first job was for Mrs. Henderson on Maple Street. Her husband had passed and she needed to clear out his workshop. I spent 3 days organizing, researching, and pricing everything. Made her $2,800 from items she thought were worthless. Kept 25% as my fee. $700 for 3 days of work. But here's the key: I wasn't chasing the next job. I was just doing that one job so well that Mrs. Henderson told her sister, who told her neighbor, who told her church group. Within 2 months, I had more estate sale work than I could handle. By the end of 2018, I'd made $18,000. More than I'd made in the previous 3 years combined, chasing 17 different schemes. But that wasn't even the best part. The best part was how it felt. Instead of desperate and scattered, I felt focused and valuable. Instead of chasing money, I was solving real problems for real people. The money came naturally because I was providing real value. By 2019, I'd expanded. I started buying items at estate sales that I knew I could resell online. Not day trading volatile stocks, but buying solid, underpriced antiques and collectibles from families who just wanted them gone. I wasn't speculating. I was applying knowledge I'd built over months of handling these items every day. I bought a 1960s Eames chair for $50 at an estate sale in Fairlawn. Sold it for $800 on eBay. Bought a collection of vintage fishing lures for $75. Sold them individually for $650 total. I wasn't chasing deals. I was recognizing value that other people missed because I'd taken the time to learn what I was looking at. The money kept flowing because I'd stopped chasing it and started attracting it. I was becoming known as the guy who could handle estates properly, who would pay fair prices for valuable items, who wouldn't rip off widows or lowball families in grief. By the end of 2019, I'd made $47,000. By 2020, despite the pandemic, I'd made $68,000. I was working less, stressing less, and making more money than I'd ever made chasing schemes. And then something really interesting happened. Other opportunities started finding me. A guy I'd done an estate sale for owned rental properties. He needed someone reliable to manage them. Instead of me chasing property management jobs, he offered me one. A woman whose father's house I'd helped clear was a real estate agent. She started referring clients who needed estate services. Then she asked if I wanted to partner with her on fix and flip properties. Not because I was chasing real estate deals, but because she'd seen how I handled her family's situation. By 2020, I had 3 streams of income that had found me, not the other way around. Estate services, property management, and real estate partnerships. I wasn't scattered across 17 schemes anymore. I had 3 solid businesses that complemented each other and all came from the same core skill: helping people solve problems. Everything I learned, the zero savings law, the morning $500 rule, the identity switch, all 7 of them, they're in something called the Wealth After 65 Code. I wish someone had given me this when I retired with $11,000 in my account. The link is right below this video. The wealth timing law taught me something most financial advisors will never tell you. Wealth isn't built by chasing opportunities. It's built by becoming so good at solving real problems that opportunities chase you. Think about every wealthy person you know. Really think about them. Are they running around chasing 17 different schemes? Or are they deeply focused on 1 or 2 things they do extremely well? Jeff Bezos didn't chase every internet trend in the 90s. He focused on selling books better than anyone else, then naturally expanded from there. Warren Buffett doesn't chase hot stocks. He buys solid companies and holds them forever. Your successful neighbor doesn't chase every side hustle. They found one thing that works and they got really, really good at it. The paradox nobody teaches retirees is this: the harder you chase money, the faster it runs away. The more desperate you become, the worse decisions you make. The more scattered you are, the less valuable you become to anyone. But when you stop chasing and start building, everything changes. When you focus on becoming exceptionally good at solving one problem, people start seeking you out. When you become known for one thing, referrals start flowing naturally. When you stop being desperate, you start making better decisions. I see retirees all the time making the same mistakes I made, jumping from scheme to scheme, chasing the next hot investment tip, trying to day trade with money they can't afford to lose, joining MLMs that prey on people who are financially scared. Here's what I wish someone had told me when I was 68 and sitting in that Honda Civic with 17 schemes written on a yellow legal pad. You already have everything you need to build wealth. You just need to stop running around long enough to use it. Your decades of work experience? That's valuable. Your network of people who know and trust you? That's valuable. Your understanding of what real problems look like? That's invaluable. But you can't access any of that value while you're chasing shiny objects and get-rich-quick schemes. You can only access it when you sit still long enough to think clearly about what you're actually good at. I met a guy last month at Denny's, retired teacher, 67 years old, trying to make money trading cryptocurrency on his phone while we talked. Lost $3,000 in the last 6 months chasing crypto tips from YouTube. I asked him what he was good at. Well, I taught high school math for 40 years, he said. So you can explain complicated concepts in ways that teenagers can understand. Yeah, I guess so. Do you know how valuable that skill is? There are thousands of adults out there who need math tutoring, who need help with their taxes, who need someone to explain financial concepts they never learned in school. His whole face changed. He'd been so focused on chasing the next big thing that he'd forgotten he already had a skill that could easily make him $50 an hour. That's the paradox. We spend so much energy chasing what we don't have that we ignore what we do have. We get so focused on the money that we forget money is just a reward for solving problems. When I stopped chasing money and started solving problems, the money started chasing me. When I stopped being desperate and started being useful, people started seeking me out. When I stopped scattering my energy across 17 schemes and focused it on one skill, that skill became profitable. Now I'm 74. I have $1.2 million in assets, 3 income streams that run almost automatically, more opportunities coming to me than I can handle. and I work maybe 20 hours a week, not because I'm lucky, not because I found some secret formula, but because I learned the hardest lesson a desperate person can learn. Sometimes the best action is no action. Sometimes the smartest thing to do is stop doing so many things. One more thing. Write this in the comments. I protect my time, my money, and my future. If you said it, you're already ahead of 90% of retirees out there. Money doesn't chase desperate people. It chases confident, focused, valuable people. And you can't become any of those things while you're running around chasing 17 different schemes. But you can become all of them by sitting still long enough to remember who you already are.